You think you could survive in the Middle Ages. Think again. No phones, no showers, and tonight's dinner. A roasted rat, if you're lucky. In a world ruled by superstition and filth, even making it through one day could be your last. Close your eyes, get comfortable, and let's take a sleepy stroll through the strange, brutal reality of medieval life. A gentle journey through medieval times, a calming bedtime story in 5 chapters. Chapter 1. The simple village life, where cleanliness was a luxury, and you find peace in simplicity. You drift softly into a time long past, where the world moves at nature's gentle rhythm. You find yourself standing in a medieval village as the first light of dawn touches thatched roofs. The air is thick with the scent of wood, smoke, and earth, and you breathe deeply, accepting this simpler time. The cobblestone path beneath your feet is uneven, worn smooth by countless footsteps over generations. You notice how different life is here. There are no rushing cars, no honking horns, no bright electric lights piercing the darkness. Just the soft whisper of wind through ancient oak trees, and the distant sound of a church bell marking the peaceful hours. You walk slowly through the village square, observing how the people here live without the conveniences you know. There are no gleaming bathrooms, no hot showers waiting at the turn of a handle, no pristine white porcelain. Instead, you see wooden buckets drawn from wells, and you realize how precious clean water truly is. Each drop carefully carried, carefully treasured one. The houses around you are small and humble, with walls of clay and timber. You peer gently through an open doorway and see families gathered around central hearths, sharing warmth, sharing stories. There are no separate rooms for every purpose, no walk-in closets, no endless possessions. Just the essential things, just what matters for survival and togetherness. You continue your peaceful wandering and notice how the people here have learned to live alongside nature's creatures. Small mice scurry along the walls, and cats pad silently through the shadows, hunting with ancient instinct. The people here don't fight against every living thing that shares their space. They've found a way to coexist, to accept what cannot be changed. The streets wind naturally, following the contours of the land. There are no straight lines, no rigid geometry, no perfectly manicured lawns. Instead, you see gardens that grow wild and free, herbs and vegetables mingling together, chickens pecking peacefully in the dirt. Everything flows together in harmony, like a gentle river finding its course. You pause beside a small cottage where an elderly woman sits spinning wool. Her fingers move with practiced ease, creating thread from raw fleece. There's something deeply meditative about watching her work. The wheel turns slowly, rhythmically, creating a soft whirring sound that blends with the morning breeze. She smiles at you with eyes that have seen many seasons, and you feel a profound peace in her presence. As you walk further, you notice how quiet the world is here. There are no mechanical sounds, no electronic beeps, no constant humming of technology, just the natural symphony of roosters greeting the dawn, dogs barking softly in the distance, and the gentle lowing of cattle in nearby fields. Your mind begins to slow to match the unhurried pace of this ancient world. You come upon a small stream that winds through the village. The water moves slowly, peacefully, over smooth stones worn by countless years of patient flow. You kneel beside the water and cup some in your hands. It's cool and clear, and you understand how precious this simple resource is. Without endless pipes and pumps, every drop must be cherished, every sip appreciated. The people you pass move with deliberate slowness. There's no rushing, no checking of watches, no urgent appointments. Time flows differently here, measured by the sun's journey across the sky, by the changing seasons, by the natural rhythms that have guided humanity for millennia. You feel your own breathing slow, your shoulders relax as you surrender to this gentler pace. You notice how the villagers greet each other, stopping to speak, really speak, looking into each other's eyes, sharing news of family, of crops, of the weather. There are no quick texts, no hurried phone calls, just human connection, face to face, heart to heart. And in this simplicity, you find something beautiful. A mother walks by carrying her baby, singing a soft lullaby. The melody is ancient, passed down through generations, and it carries the weight of countless mothers who have sung these same notes to soothe their children. You listen as the song fades into the distance, leaving only the whisper of wind through the village knoll. As the morning progresses, you see people beginning their daily tasks, tending gardens, feeding animals, preparing simple meals. Each action is deliberate, mindful. There's no multitasking, no frantic juggling of responsibilities, just one task at a time, completed with care and attention. And in this focused simplicity, you discover a profound tranquility. You settle onto a wooden bench outside the village church. The stone building rises modestly above the surrounding cottages, its bell tower reaching toward heaven. The bells chime softly, marking the passage of hours, and you close your eyes, letting the sound wash over you like gentle waves. Your breathing deepens, your mind quiets, as you embrace the peaceful rhythm of medieval life. The sun climbs higher, casting long shadows across the village square. Somewhere nearby, A blacksmith's hammer rings against an anvil, not with urgent haste, but with the steady, patient rhythm of craftsmanship, each strike deliberate, each blow purposeful, creating something that will last something meaningful, and you feel your own heartbeat slow to match this ancient tempo. Children play in the streets, their games simple, their laughter pure. They chase each other around the well, play with wooden toys carved by loving hands, build castles in the dirt with sticks and stones. There are no screens, no electronic distractions, just imagination, creativity, and the joy of being fully present in the moment. Their happiness is infectious, and you find yourself smiling. As afternoon approaches, you realize how different your relationship with cleanliness has become. Without endless hot water and chemical soaps, the people here have learned to appreciate what they have. A cool cloth on the face becomes luxurious. A handful of herbs to freshen breath becomes precious. Everything is valued, nothing taken for granted. You watch an old man tend his small garden. He moves slowly, carefully, talking softly to his plants as he waters them with precious water carried from the well. His hands are weathered, stained with honest dirt. But there's something beautiful about this connection to the earth, this direct relationship with the source of life, and you feel a deep contentment settling into your bones. The day grows warm, and you seek shade beneath a spreading oak tree. The leaves rustle gently overhead, creating a natural canopy, a living roof that has sheltered travelers for centuries. You lean back against the rough bark, feeling its solid strength, its enduring presence, and you realize how much peace there is in accepting things as they are, in finding beauty in simplicity. As evening approaches, smoke begins to rise from cottage chimneys. The smell of wood fires mingles with the scent of herbs and cooking food. Simple scents, natural scents, that speak of home and comfort and the basic human need for warmth and nourishment. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs with these ancient aromas, and feel yourself becoming part of this timeless scene. The villagers begin to gather in small groups, sharing the day's experiences, telling stories, laughing together. There's no rush to get home to television, no urgent emails waiting, just the pleasure of human company, of community, of belonging to something larger than oneself. And as you watch them, you feel a deep sense of peace, of connection, of being exactly where you need to be. As the first stars appear in the darkening sky, you understand something profound about this simpler time. That happiness doesn't come from having everything perfect, everything clean, everything convenient. It comes from appreciating what you have, from finding joy in small things, from connecting with others, from living in harmony with the natural world. And with this understanding, you feel yourself growing drowsy, peaceful, ready to let go and drift into the gentle embrace of sleep. Chapter 2e, The Gentle Rhythm of Sustenance, where simple food becomes a meditation. And you discover the beauty of gratitude. You awaken softly in your medieval world. As the first pale light of dawn filters through small windows, the air is cool and fresh, carrying the scent of baking bread from somewhere nearby. You stretch slowly, feeling your body adjust to this simpler time, where each day begins not with rushing, but with gentle awareness of the world awakening around you. You rise and walk barefoot across the cool wooden floor, listening to the soft sounds of the village stirring to life. Roosters call in the distance, their voices joining in an ancient chorus that has greeted the dawn for countless generations. Somewhere, a cow lows softly oath, and you hear the gentle splash of water being drawn from the well. These sounds wrap around you like a comfortable blanket, soothing and familiar. You make your way to the small kitchen area, where life revolves around the hearth. The fire burns low and steady, its warm glow casting dancing shadows on the walls. There's something deeply comforting about this central flame, this source of warmth and light and sustenance that has served humanity since the beginning of time. You stand before it, feeling its gentle heat on your face, and breathe in the clean smell of burning wood. On the wooden table, you see the day's provisions laid out simply: a round loaf of dark bread, its crust golden and crusty, sits waiting like an old friend. Beside it, a small bowl holds fresh butter, churned yesterday by hands that have performed this task countless times. And there, a clay pitcher filled with cool milk, still warm from the morning milking. These simple foods seem precious, valuable, worthy of gratitude. You break off a piece of the bread, feeling its dense weight in your hands. The crust crackles softly as you tear it, releasing the aroma of wheat and grain, of earth and sunshine and rain, all the elements that came together to create this basic sustenance. You bite into it slowly, savoring the complex flavors, the slight soreness of the natural fermentation, the nutty taste of the grain, and you realize how rarely you've truly tasted bread before. There's no rushing through this meal, no checking of phones, no morning news to disturb your peace, just you and this simple food, and the growing appreciation for what sustains life. You spread a little butter on the bread, watching it melt slightly, creating golden pools that catch the firelight. Each bite becomes a meditation, a moment of presence, a connection to the countless generations who have shared similar meals in similar circumstances. You pour some milk into a wooden cup and notice how different it tastes, rich and creamy, with a depth of flavor you've never experienced. This milk came from cows you saw yesterday, grazing in the meadow just beyond the village. Cows that have names, that are known and cared for, not just numbers in an industrial system. And with each sip, you taste not just milk, but the grass they ate, the care they received, the hands that milked them. A neighbor stops by, an elderly woman with kind eyes and work-worn hands. She brings a small pot of porridge, cooked slowly over her fire through the night. The grains are soft and comforting, seasoned with just a pinch of salt and a few precious herbs. She shares it freely, expecting nothing in return. Just the natural human impulse to care for others, to share what little she has, and you're moved by this simple generosity as you eat together. She tells you about the rhythm of food in this world, how spring brings tender greens that push up through the earth, fresh and vital after the long winter, how summer offers berries and fruits, sweet gifts from the warming sun, how autumn brings the harvest, the hard work of gathering and storing, preparing for the lean months ahead, and how winter teaches patience, gratitude, the art of making do with what you have. She speaks of feast days, special occasions when the whole village comes together to share whatever abundance they can manage. A goose at Christmas, fresh fish when the river runs full, wild berries gathered by children with purple, stained fingers. These celebrations are rare, precious, made more meaningful by their scarcity. And you begin to understand how anticipation, how gratitude, how sharing can transform simple food into something sacred. After she leaves, you walk through the village, observing the quiet drama of daily sustenance. A baker pulls fresh loaves from his stone oven, the bread crackling as it cools, filling the air with warmth and promise. A woman tends her kitchen garden, picking herbs with careful attention, knowing that each plant must serve multiple purposes. For cooking, for medicine, for tea. Nothing is wasted. Everything has value. You pause at the edge of a field where workers move slowly through the grain, cutting wheat with sharp sickles, their movements rhythmic, almost dance-like. They work in harmony, calling to each other, sharing water from a common jug, taking breaks in the shade. Their labor is hard, but there's something beautiful in their cooperation, their shared purpose, their connection to the land that feeds them all. Near the village pond, you watch a fisherman sit patiently with his line in the water. He doesn't fidget, doesn't check a watch, doesn't complain about the time it takes. He simply waits, present in the moment, understanding that good things come to those who can be still, who can trust in the natural rhythms of life. And when a fish finally takes his bait, he pulls it in with quiet satisfaction, grateful for this gift from the water. In a cottage garden, an old man tends his vegetables with the care of a priest tending an altar. He waters each plant individually, whispers encouragement to struggling seedlings, carefully removes weeds that might compete for precious nutrients. His movements are slow, deliberate, filled with the wisdom of years spent in partnership with the earth. And you see in his face a contentment that comes from meaningful work, from participating in the miracle of growth. As the day warms, you join others gathering wild herbs in the meadow beyond the village. They move slowly through the grass, identifying plants by touch, by smell, by the accumulated knowledge passed down through generations. Each herb has its purpose, some for flavoring the evening stew, others for soothing aches, still others for brewing tea that will help with sleep. This knowledge is precious, earned through trial and error, shared freely among neighbors. You learn to recognize the plants, to appreciate their subtle differences, the way chamomile flowers nod in the breeze, how mint releases its scent when touched, where to find the tender shoots of wild onions. There's something deeply satisfying about this direct relationship with your food. This understanding of where sustenance comes from, this participation in the ancient dance between human need and natural abundance. At midday, the village gathers for a simple meal. Families bring what they have and share it freely. Bread and cheese, eggs from backyard chickens, vegetables from garden plots. Everything simple, everything valued. The conversation flows slowly, punctuated by comfortable silences, by the sound of children playing nearby, by the gentle buzz of bees working the wildflowers. You notice how differently people relate to food here, how they pause before eating, offering quiet thanks, how they eat slowly, savoring each bite, how they leave nothing on their plates, wasting nothing that took effort to produce too. There's a reverence here, a recognition that food is not just fuel, but life itself, the transformation of earth and water and sunlight into the energy that sustains human existence there. As afternoon fades, you help prepare the evening meal, working alongside others in the communal kitchen, chopping vegetables with well-used knives, stirring pots over the open fire. The work is simple, repetitive, meditative. Your hands move in rhythm with others, part of an ancient tradition of shared labor, shared responsibility, shared nourishment. The stew that emerges is basic, just vegetables and grains and herbs, but it smells like home, like comfort, like love transformed into sustenance. You ladle it into wooden bowls and gather with others around the long table. The conversation is soft, peaceful, focused on the day's small events, the weather, the animals, the gradual progress of the seasons. As you eat, you realize something profound, that this simplicity, this gratitude, this mindful attention to what sustains life creates a richness that no elaborate meal could match. That abundance isn't about having endless choices, but about fully appreciating what you have, about understanding the miracle of transformation that brings food from seed to table. The evening air grows cool, and you wrap yourself in a simple woolen shawl. The fabric is rough, hand-woven, but warm with the body heat of the sheep that gave their fleece. Everything here connects to its source. Nothing is anonymous, nothing taken for granted. And in this web of connection, this awareness of interdependence, you find a peace that goes deeper than comfort, a satisfaction that goes beyond fullness. As the stars appear, you sip herbal tea brewed from the afternoon's gathering. The flavors are subtle, complex, each herb contributing its own note to the symphony of taste. Someone begins to sing an old song about harvests and seasons, and others join in, their voices blending in harmonies passed down through generations. The music wraps around you like a blessing, like gratitude made audible. And as your eyelids grow heavy, you understand something beautiful about this simpler relationship with food. How it teaches patience, gratitude, community, how it connects you to the earth, to the seasons, to the countless hands that brought sustenance to your table, how it transforms the basic act of eating into something sacred, something that feeds not just the body, but the soul. And with this understanding warming you like the dying fire, you drift peacefully toward sleep. Chapter 3D, the ancient dance of honor, where respect flows like a gentle river, and you find grace within structure. You awaken in your medieval world as church bells chime softly across the village. The sound drifts through your window like a gentle invitation to begin another day of discovery. You stretch slowly, feeling the rough linen sheets against your skin, and listen to the peaceful sounds of a community beginning its daily rhythm. Voices calling soft greetings, footsteps on cobblestones, the distant lowing of cattle heading to pasture. You rise and dress in the simple garments of this time, feeling the weight of homespun wool, the texture of cloth woven by patient hands. There's something grounding about these clothes you, their natural fibers, their honest construction, their connection to the sheep and flax that gave their substance. You move slowly, mindfully, allowing yourself to adapt to this different pace of life. Outside, you observe the village coming alive with its ancient social patterns. A young man passes and bows respectfully to an elderly merchant. The gesture is natural, automatic, part of a dance of respect that flows through every interaction. There's no resentment in this bow, no grudging compliance, just the peaceful acceptance of one's place in the great web of community. And you find something beautiful in this clarity, this understanding of roles and relationships. You walk toward the manor house, its stone walls rising gently above the village like a protective presence. The lord of the manor stands in his courtyard, not as a tyrant, but as a father figure, listening patiently to the concerns of his people. A farmer approaches with his hat in his hands, speaking quietly about the need for new seed, and the Lord nods thoughtfully, considering not just the request, but the welfare of all who depend on this land. There's something graceful in these interactions, a formal courtesy that creates space for dignity, for respect, for the acknowledgement of each person's worth within their role. The farmer is valued for his knowledge of the soil, his skill with crops, his honest labor. The Lord is respected for his responsibility, his burden of making decisions that affect the entire community, his role as protector and provider. You join others gathering for the morning's work, each person moving to their assigned tasks with quiet purpose. The blacksmith to his forge, the baker to her ovens, the shepherd to his flock. There's no confusion about roles, no anxiety about finding your place, just the peaceful certainty of belonging, of having meaningful work, of contributing to something larger than yourself. A group of children plays nearby, their games reflecting the adult world in miniature. They bow to each other with elaborate courtesy, practice the formal greetings they see their parents exchange, learn through play the social graces that will guide them through life. Their laughter mingles with their lessons, creating a joyful symphony of growth and learning, of tradition passing naturally from generation to generation. You notice how conflict is handled here, not with violence or anger, but with ritual and ceremony. Two merchants have a dispute over a trade agreement, and they bring their case before the village elders. The process is formal, respectful, both sides presenting their arguments with dignity. The elders listen carefully, asking thoughtful questions, seeking not just justice, but restoration of harmony within the community. When the decision is made, both parties bow to the elders' wisdom. The resolution may not please everyone, but it's accepted as fair, as necessary for the greater good. There's something profound in this willingness to submit personal desires to communal harmony, to trust in the wisdom of those chosen to lead, to understand that true freedom sometimes comes through accepting limitations. As you walk through the village square, you observe the intricate web of relationships that holds this community together. The miller's daughter curtsies to the merchant's wife, who in turn shows deference to the lady of the manor. Each acknowledgement builds trust, creates connection, reinforces the bonds that make collective life possible. No one stands alone. Everyone is woven into the social fabric. A traveling noble passes through, his retinue colorful and impressive. The villagers line the road, not in servile fear, but in genuine curiosity and respect. Children peek from behind their mothers' skirts. Adults bow appropriately. Everyone participating in the ancient ceremony of hospitality, of honoring those who carry responsibility, of maintaining the customs that have preserved peace for generations. You sit with the village women as they work at their spinning, their needlework, their quiet crafts. Their conversation flows around topics of family, community, the subtle negotiations of social harmony. They speak with wisdom about maintaining relationships, about the importance of courtesy, of thinking before speaking, of choosing words that build rather than destroy. Their voices are soft, thoughtful, filled with the accumulated wisdom of generations. An older woman tells stories of her youth, of how the social graces she learned served her well throughout life, how showing respect opened doors, how courtesy created friendships, how understanding her role in the community gave her security and purpose. She speaks not of oppression, but of the freedom that comes from knowing where you belong, from having clear expectations, from being valued for who you are within the social order. As the day progresses, you witness a wedding celebration. The entire village gathers to honor the young couple. The ceremony is formal, beautiful, rich with symbolism and meaning. Every gesture has significance. Every word carries weight. The couple exchanges vows, not just to each other, but to the community that will support them, that will hold them accountable, that will celebrate their joys and help bear their sorrows. The celebration that follows is joyous but orderly. Music and dancing, feasting and laughter, but all within bounds, all respectful of custom and tradition. The young people learn by watching, absorbing the rituals, understanding their future roles. The older generation shares wisdom and blessing, connecting past to future in an unbroken chain of community life. You observe how justice works in this world, not through distant courts and impersonal procedures, but through community involvement, through restorative rather than purely punitive measures. When someone transgresses, the focus is not just on punishment, but on healing, on restoring the offender to right relationship with the community, on protecting the social fabric that holds everyone together. A young man who stole bread is brought before the village gathering. His shame is evident, but so is the community's care for him. The consequences are real, meaningful, but designed to teach rather than simply punish. He will work to repay what he took, will perform service for the community, will be guided by elder mentors who will help him understand his proper role and responsibilities. As evening approaches, you join the community for prayers in the small church, or the building is simple, beautiful, filled with the presence of generations who have gathered here. The prayers are familiar, comforting, connecting this moment to countless others like it. The voices blend together, rich and poor, young and old, all equal in this sacred space, all part of something greater than themselves. After prayers, families gather in their homes, parents teaching children, sharing stories, passing down not just information but values, wisdom, the accumulated understanding of how to live well within community. The lessons are gentle, patient, focused not on rules to be followed, but on principles to be understood, on the development of character and wisdom. You sit with a family as they share their evening meal, observing the quiet ceremonies of daily life, how children wait to be served, how the father asks blessing on the food, how conversation flows with respect and affection. There's something deeply peaceful about these rituals, these markers of belonging, these daily affirmations of love and care within proper order. As night falls, you understand something profound about this social structure, that it's not about oppression or limitation, but about creating space for human dignity within community life, about providing security and belonging, about ensuring that everyone has a role, everyone has value, everyone contributes to the greater good. The structure doesn't diminish people. It supports them, gives them identity, purpose, connection. You realize that respect, true respect, flows both ways in this system, that authority carries responsibility, that those who lead must serve, that those who follow are valued for their contributions, that everyone participates in maintaining the delicate balance that makes peaceful community life possible. And in this understanding, you find not constraint, but freedom, not limitation, but the security that comes from belonging. Walking through the quiet village streets, you see lights flickering in windows, families gathered around hearths, the ancient rhythm of rest and renewal, the social order that governs daylight hours provides the framework for these intimate moments, creates the stability that makes love possible, awe, the security that allows trust to flourish, the predictability that lets people rest in peace. As you prepare for sleep in your simple bed, you feel the profound satisfaction that comes from understanding your place in something larger, from participating in traditions that have sustained human community for centuries, from being part of a social fabric woven with threads of respect, responsibility, mutual care, and ancient wisdom. And with this understanding settling into your bones like warmth from the hearth, you drift peacefully into dreams filled with the gentle rhythms of honor and community. Chapter 40. The Healing Gardens of Ancient Wisdom, where medicine flows like gentle streams, and you discover the art of natural healing. You awaken in your medieval world to the soft sound of rain pattering against small windows. The gentle rhythm soothes your spirit as you stretch slowly, feeling your body respond to this simpler time, where healing happens at nature's pace, where wellness is cultivated like a garden, tended with patience and wisdom, accumulated over countless generations. Outside, the rain has awakened all the scents of the earth. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs with the fragrance of wet soil, growing herbs, blooming flowers. The air itself seems medicinal, pure and clean, carrying the essence of plants that have served as healers since time began. You feel your body relaxing, responding to this natural pharmacy that surrounds the village. You walk through the misty morning toward the monastery garden, where the healing herbs grow in careful rows, tended by monks who have devoted their lives to understanding the medicine hidden in leaves and roots and flowers. Brother Marcus, the herbalist, greets you with gentle eyes and soil-stained hands. His presence radiates the calm that comes from years spent in quiet communion with nature's remedies. He leads you through the garden paths, speaking softly about each plant as you pass. Here grows chamomile, its daisy like flowers releasing their apple scent when brushed. For calming the troubled mind, he says, for easing the body into peaceful sleep. You kneel beside the plants, touching their soft petals, feeling the immediate sense of tranquility they seem to radiate, understanding why they have been treasured for centuries. Further along, you discover lavender swaying in the morning breeze, its purple spikes heavy with aromatic oil. Brother Marcus crushes a few flowers between his fingers, releasing their distinctive fragrance. For headaches, he explains, for nervous tension, for purifying spaces where the sick must rest. The scent wraps around you like a healing embrace, and you feel tension you didn't know you carried beginning to dissolve. In the shade of the monastery wall, mint spreads in green abundance, its leaves bright and vital for the stomach. Brother Marcus says, picking a leaf for you to taste. The flavor is clean, sharp, immediately refreshing. When the body rebels against what it has eaten, when pain grips the belly, mint brings relief. You chew the leaf slowly, feeling its cooling properties spread through your mouth, down your throat, bringing immediate comfort. You spend the morning learning about the garden's treasures, how willow bark, when brewed into tea, eases pain and reduces fever, how echinacea flowers, purple and proud, strengthen the body's natural defenses, how St. John's wort, with its cheerful yellow blooms, lifts the spirits when darkness seems too heavy to bear, each plant a gift, each remedy a bridge between human need and natural abundance. Brother Marcus shows you the drying room, where bundles of herbs hang from the rafters like fragrant clouds. The air is thick with concentrated healing, centuries of knowledge preserved in these carefully dried leaves and flowers. He explains how timing matters, how plants must be gathered at just the right moment, when their medicine is strongest, how lunar cycles affect potency, how morning dew enhances certain properties. You learn to recognize the signs of quality in dried herbs, the brightness of color that indicates proper preservation, the strength of scent that reveals active compounds, the texture that tells you whether the drying was rushed or patient. This knowledge feels precious, earned through observation, through trial and error, through the accumulated wisdom of countless healers who have walked this path before. In the monastery library, you discover manuscripts filled with healing wisdom, illuminated pages that glow with gold and color, documenting remedies passed down through generations. You read, with Brother Marcus translating the Latin, about the four humors, the belief that health comes from balance, from harmony between the body's natural elements, blood, phlegm, yellow bile, black bile, each requiring different treatments, different approaches to restoration. The concept feels oddly comforting. This idea that illness comes from imbalance rather than invasion, that healing involves restoring harmony rather than waging war. You think about how this gentle philosophy approaches the body with respect, seeking to support its natural healing processes rather than overwhelming them, working with the body's wisdom rather than against it. A villager arrives seeking help, an elderly woman whose joints ache with the changing weather. Brother Marcus listens carefully to her description of the pain, asks gentle questions about when it's worse, what seems to help, how long she's been suffering. His attention is complete, unhurried, focused entirely on understanding her unique situation, her individual needs. He prepares a remedy specifically for her, combining willow bark for pain, nettle for inflammation, and a small amount of honey to make the medicine palatable. As he works, he explains each ingredient, why it's chosen, how it will help all, involving her in her own healing, making her a partner rather than a passive recipient. You watch the care he takes, the reverence he shows for both the patient and the medicine. The woman leaves with her remedy, but also with instructions for gentle exercises, suggestions for staying warm and dry, advice about foods that might help. Brother Marcus understands that true healing involves the whole person, their daily habits, their environment, their state of mind, not just the immediate symptoms that brought them seeking help. You accompany him on visits to those too ill to come to the monastery. In a small cottage, a mother tends her fevered child. The room is filled with the scent of herbs steaming in bowls of hot water, creating a healing atmosphere. Brother Marcus checks the child gently, listening to his breathing, feeling his forehead, observing the color of his skin, taking time to understand what the body is communicating. He adjusts the herbal steam, adding elderflower for the fever, thyme for the congestion, pine needles for their cleansing properties. As the aromatic vapors fill the room, you watch the child's breathing ease, his restless movements quiet. The healing properties of the plants beginning their gentle work, the mother's anxiety visibly decreases as she sees her child finding relief. Brother Marcus sits with the family, offering not just medicine but comfort, reassurance, wisdom about the healing process. He explains that fever is often the body's way of fighting illness, that sometimes patience is the most important medicine. That trust in natural healing processes often works better than frantic intervention. His calm presence seems as healing as any herb. In another cottage, you meet the village's wise woman, Grandmother Elara, whose knowledge of healing extends beyond herbs to include the healing power of touch, of prayer, of listening. She shows you how to prepare poultices, how to combine herbs with clay or honey to create healing pastes that draw out infection, reduce swelling, speed the mending of wounds. Her hands move with practiced grace as she demonstrates, each motion deliberate, purposeful, filled with decades of experience. She teaches you to feel for the subtle signs that indicate healing progress, the warmth that shows blood flow returning, the softening that means inflammation is decreasing, the healthy pink color that signals new tissue growing. As evening approaches, you join the community for a healing circle, those who have been ill, those who have recovered, those who offer healing, all gathering together in the monastery chapel. They share stories of illness and recovery, of medicines that helped, of practices that brought comfort, creating a living library of healing wisdom. The circle includes prayers, but also practical sharing, recipes for healing broths, techniques for easing pain, methods for maintaining health. The knowledge flows freely, no one hoarding secrets, everyone contributing to the community's understanding of how to support each other through times of illness and difficulty. You listen to an old man tell of recovering from a serious injury through patience, rest, and careful attention to his body's signals. A young mother shares how chamomile tea helped her anxious child sleep peacefully. A merchant describes how carrying certain herbs protected him from illness during his travels. Each story adds to the collective wisdom. Each experience becomes part of the community's healing knowledge. As night deepens, you walk through the monastery garden once more. The plants rest in the darkness, but their healing presence remains. You can smell the medicine in the air, feel the peaceful energy that comes from being surrounded by nature's pharmacy. Oh. The rain has stopped, and stars appear between the clouds, blessing the sleeping herbs with their ancient light. In the monastery's healing room, Brother Marcus tends to his supplies, carefully checking dried herbs, preparing tomorrow's medicines, recording observations about which remedies worked best, which combinations showed promise. His work continues even in the quiet hours, guided by the understanding that healing is both art and science, requiring both knowledge and intuition. You realize that this approach to healing offers something modern medicine sometimes misses: the understanding that illness affects the whole person, that healing involves mind, body, and spirit working together, that medicine works best when it supports the body's natural wisdom rather than trying to override it. As you prepare for sleep, you understand that in this world, healing is not something that happens to you, but something you participate in. Your body becomes a partner in the process, not just a machine to be fixed, but a wise system capable of remarkable recovery when given the right support, the right environment, the right respect for its natural processes. Brother Marcus brings you a cup of evening tea, a blend of herbs chosen specifically for promoting restful sleep, passion flower for calming the nervous system, lemon balm for easing tension, a touch of honey for sweetness and comfort. As you sip the warm liquid, you feel your body beginning to prepare for rest, the herbs working gently to slow your thoughts. Relax your muscles. Prepare your mind for healing dreams. The monastery bells chime softly, marking the end of another day of learning, of understanding, of connecting with the ancient wisdom that flows through these healing gardens. You lie in your simple bed, surrounded by the subtle fragrances of herbs drying in the rafters above, lavender sachets tucked between the bed linens, the gentle medicine of plants working even as you sleep. Through your window, you can see the garden resting under starlight, the healing herbs gathering dew that will enhance their potency, continuing their quiet work of growing, of concentrating their medicine, of preparing to serve those who will need their gifts, and knowing that you are surrounded by this ancient pharmacy, this living testament to the partnership between human wisdom and natural healing. You drift peacefully into restorative sleep, your dreams filled with the gentle rhythm of growth and healing, of patience and trust, of the profound connection between earth and body, between plant and person, between the wisdom of ages and the promise of tomorrow's health. Chapter 5, The Gentle Embrace of Evening's Peace, where darkness brings not fear, but the deep comfort of community and rest. You awaken for the final time in your medieval world as the sun begins its descent toward the western horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of rose and gold. The air is cool and sweet, carrying the promise of a peaceful evening, of rest well earned, of community gathering as day gives way to the gentle embrace of night. You dress slowly in your simple garments, feeling how natural they have become, how comfortable this unhurried pace feels, how your body has adapted to the rhythm of a world that moves with the sun, that honors the natural cycles of light and darkness, of work and rest, of gathering together and peaceful solitude. Outside, the village prepares for evening with the same quiet grace that has marked all your days here. Smoke rises from chimneys as families kindle their hearth fires, the flames that will provide warmth, light, and the focal point for evening gatherings. You pause to breathe in the sweet scent of burning wood, feeling how it connects you to countless generations who have found comfort in this most basic of human technologies. Children play in the streets, their laughter bright and joyful, but without the frantic energy of modern times. Their games are simple, timeless, the same activities that have delighted young hearts for centuries. They chase each other around the well, build castles in the dust with sticks and stones, create elaborate stories with wooden dolls carved by loving hands. Their joy is infectious, pure, unmarred by the anxieties of a complex world. You walk toward the village square, where people begin to gather as they do each evening, not because they must, but because they want to, because community is not a burden here, but a source of strength, of comfort, of the deep human satisfaction that comes from belonging to something larger than oneself, from being known, valued, woven into the fabric of collective life. The baker's wife brings fresh bread, still warm from the evening baking. The miller arrives with flour, dusted aprons, and stories of the day's work. The shepherd comes down from the hills, his dogs trotting beside him, ready to share news of the flocks, of the weather he's observed, of the changing seasons written in cloud and wind. Each person contributes to the evening's gathering ore. Each voice adds to the community's story. As darkness begins to deepen, torches are lit around the square, their flames dancing in the gentle breeze, casting warm circles of light that draw people together, create intimate spaces within the larger gathering. The light is soft, golden, nothing like the harsh brightness of electric bulbs, but warm and alive, connected to fire, to the ancient human relationship with flame that has provided comfort since the dawn of time. An old storyteller takes his place by the central fire, his weathered hands gesturing as he begins an ancient tale. His voice is rich, melodious, trained by years of practice in the art of weaving words into magic. Children gather at his feet, their eyes wide with wonder, while adults pause in their conversations to listen, to be transported to worlds of adventure and mystery, of heroes and wisdom, of lessons wrapped in entertainment. The story unfolds slowly, deliberately, without the rush of modern entertainment. Each character is developed, each scene painted with careful words, each lesson allowed to sink deep into listening hearts. You find yourself drawn into the tale, your imagination painting pictures more vivid than any screen, your mind engaged in the active process of creation that stories require, of participation rather than passive consumption. As the story ends, music begins. Simple melodies played on wooden flutes, hand drums, stringed instruments crafted by village artisans. The tunes are familiar to everyone, passed down through generations. Songs that tell of harvests and love, of seasons and celebration, of the eternal themes that connect all human hearts. Voices join in, harmonizing naturally, creating beauty together without rehearsal or planning. You find yourself humming along, your voice blending with others, becoming part of this ancient practice of making music together, of sharing the joy that comes from collective creation, from the discovery that individual voices, when joined in harmony, can create something more beautiful than any could achieve alone. The music wraps around you like a warm blanket, like an embrace from the entire community. Some couples begin to dance, their movements simple, graceful, reflecting the same unhurried rhythm that governs all life here. Children join in, learning the steps by watching, by doing, by being included in the celebration. Elderly folks clap in time, their faces bright with memories of their own dancing days. Everyone participating according to their ability, their inclination, their place in the community's joy. As the evening progresses, smaller groups form, intimate conversations that weave through the larger gathering. Friends share the day's experiences. Neighbors discuss plans for tomorrow's work. Family members catch up on the small details that make up a life. The talk is unhurried, thoughtful, focused on people and relationships rather than distant events, on what matters most, what affects daily life, what builds connection and understanding. You join a group of women sharing stories by a smaller fire, their faces glowing in the warm light, their voices soft with affection as they speak of children, of gardens, of the small triumphs and challenges that make up their days. Oh, their conversation flows like a gentle river, sometimes serious, sometimes filled with laughter, always supportive, always recognizing the value in each other's experiences. An old man nearby shares tales of his travels, of distant villages, of different customs he's observed, of the universal human experiences that connect all people regardless of their circumstances. His stories expand the evening's horizons, bring the wider world into this intimate gathering. Remind everyone that they are part of something larger, something that extends beyond their own borders. As night deepens, the gathering naturally begins to disperse. Families collecting their children, friends making plans to meet tomorrow, everyone beginning the gentle transition from community time to family time, to the intimate spaces where deeper connections are nurtured, where individual souls are tended with the same care given to the community as a whole. You follow a family to their cottage, where the evening continues around their own hearth. The fire burns steadily, casting dancing shadows on the walls, creating a circle of warmth and light that defines home, that creates sanctuary, that provides the secure foundation from which family members can then venture out into the world each day. knowing they have a place to return to, people who care about their welfare. The parents tend to evening tasks with practiced ease, preparing simple food for tomorrow, mending clothes by firelight, organizing tools and supplies for the next day's work. But their tasks don't prevent conversation, don't create barriers to connection. Instead, the shared work becomes another opportunity for togetherness, for teaching children the skills they'll need, for maintaining the bonds that hold families together. The children share their day's adventures, their discoveries, their questions about the world around them. Their parents listen with full attention, offering guidance, sharing wisdom, helping their children make sense of experience, learn from mistakes, prepare for tomorrow's opportunities on. The conversation is natural, unforced, the kind of deep sharing that happens when people have time for each other, when life moves slowly enough for real connection. As bedtime approaches for the youngest, a mother begins the ancient ritual of lullabies, her voice soft and loving, singing melodies that have soothed children for countless generations. The words speak of safety, of love, of the protective presence of family and community, of the peaceful sleep that comes to those who are cherished and secure. The music seems to draw down peace from the very stars. One by one, family members seek their rest, but not with the rushed routine of modern bedtimes. Instead, they take time for final conversations, for expressions of affection, for the sharing of gratitude, for the day's blessings, for the quiet rituals that mark the transition from the active day to the restorative night. Each person going to sleep feeling valued, loved, secure in their place within the family circle. You make your way to your own simple bed, pausing to look out the window at the village now settled into peaceful quiet. A few lights still flicker in windows, evidence of families sharing their final moments of togetherness before sleep, of individuals reading by candlelight, of the quiet activities that mark the end of a well-lived day. The sight fills you with profound contentment. As you prepare for sleep, you realize that this world has taught you something precious about the relationship between individual and community, about how security comes not from walls and locks, but from being known and valued by others, from participating in something larger than yourself, from the understanding that your welfare and the welfare of others are inseparably connected. You understand now why night holds no terror here, why darkness brings not fear but comfort, because you are not alone, not isolated, not responsible for your own protection and provision. You are part of a web of relationships, a network of care, a community that watches over its members, that shares both burdens and joys, that creates safety through connection rather than separation. The night sounds are gentle, familiar, comforting, the distant hoot of an owl, the soft rustle of wind through trees, the settling sounds of houses, cooling from the day's warmth. Somewhere, a dog barks briefly and then quiets. Satisfied that all is well, these sounds don't disturb your peace. They enhance it, confirming that you are part of a living world, a community of creatures all settled into the rhythm of rest and renewal. As sleep begins to claim you, you feel profound gratitude for this glimpse into a different way of living. A world where pace allows for presence, where simplicity creates space for what matters most, where community provides security more reliable than any technology, where the ancient rhythms of day and night, work and rest, solitude and togetherness, create a framework for human flourishing. You drift peacefully towards sleep, your mind filled not with the anxieties of modern life, but with the deep satisfaction of a day well lived, of work that matters, of relationships that nourish, of a community that holds you safely while you rest. And as consciousness fades, you carry with you the profound peace of understanding that happiness doesn't come from having everything perfect, everything convenient, everything under control. It comes from being connected, from belonging, from participating in the ancient dance of human community, from finding your place in the great web of relationships that sustain life, from understanding that you are valued, needed, loved, not for what you achieve or accumulate, but simply for being part of the human family, part of the eternal story of people caring for each other, finding meaning together, creating beauty and comfort and joy in the midst of life's eternal challenges. And with this profound understanding settling into your heart like warmth from the dying fire, with the gentle sounds of a peaceful community surrounding you, with the security that comes from being truly at home in the world, you surrender completely to sleep, to dreams filled with the simple beauty of life lived in harmony with others, with nature, with the deep rhythms that have sustained human happiness for countless generations. Sleep comes easily, naturally, like a gentle river carrying you toward renewal, toward tomorrow's opportunities for connection, for contribution, for the quiet joy of being part of something beautiful, something lasting, something that honors both individual dignity and collective care. And in this sleep, this rest, this peaceful surrender to the night's embrace, you find the deepest healing of all, the restoration of your faith in human goodness, in the possibility of peace, in the ancient wisdom that whispers softly through the darkness that all is well, all is well, all is well. The end, this gentle journey through medieval times, reminds us that peace often comes not from having everything perfect, but from finding our place within community, from appreciating simplicity, from moving at nature's pace, from understanding our connection to the earth, to each other, to the eternal rhythms that sustain all life. May these ancient lessons of contentment, gratitude, and belonging guide you toward your own restful sleep, your own peaceful dreams.